Massmart chairperson Kuseni Dlamini warns that attacks on foreign nationals could become a norm in South Africa if government doesn't take decisive action. What Dlamini says, too much focus has been placed on whether to label the attacks as xenophobic or criminality rather than dealing with the crisis. He's calling on government to focus on finding sustainable solutions to economic growth to help quell such tensions. Well, the Massmart chairperson, Mr. Dlamini, joins me in studio now. Mr. Dlamini, thank you very much for your time. So,
thank you very much, Scotty. It's
interesting piece that you wrote at the weekend. But I want to start this conversation with another opinion of a business leader who also wrote a very, very fiery...
Mine was an interview, it wasn't a written one, so that's fine.
Indeed. Okay. So, Kaza Nyasumba says one of the most painful things that he's observed over the past few months is that President Ramaphosa, and I quote him now, President Ramaphosa is either reluctant to lead or that he's simply not equal to the task. Do you share his view?
That's a very interesting view, and that's Kaiser's view. I think that the problems in this country require collective leadership from government, from business, from civil society and the academy. It can't just be the responsibility for the president alone. He is doing the best he can under very difficult and, dare I say, very complex circumstances. And you need the country to stand shoulder to shoulder in terms of supporting all the good efforts and initiatives that he's leading. And it's very interesting that he's taken the decision not to go to the United Nations General Assembly this year. And I think that's a good sign, Goli, that this is a leader that cares about the domestic issues, the pressing issues of our time, that requires us to put a shoulder to the wheel to get the right solutions.
Let's get to your view now. You're saying that the mayhem that we're seeing on our streets is as a direct consequence of the economic picture that does not look good in our country. And if it continues to look that way, we are going to see this as a recurring problem.
Indeed, I think we have to look at the root causes. So the root causes is poverty, it's unemployment, it's the inequalities that are there, it is the jostling for very scarce resources. So if we are to address the root causes, we have to focus on economic growth. We have to focus on creating an inclusive economy. We have to focus on creating jobs and a decent life for all South Africans. And indeed, we have to also focus on the issue of growth and development elsewhere in the continent, because there are pull and push factors that bring people down south. And if we don't address them, we'll just be dealing with the symptoms here. But there's a need in the context of the African continental free trade area for a strategic conversation involving all leaders without point scoring, without finger pointing, to really look at how do we grow sub-Saharan Africa as an economy, as a regional economic bloc that will provide prosperity for all Africans.
As you've mentioned, that this is not just the task of President Cyril Ramaphosa alone or his government. Where does business pitch in this gloomy economic picture?
I think as business we have to do our own heavy lifting in terms of investing strategically and creatively in areas where we can improve the welfare of all citizens in South Africa and across the continent. As Massmart, we are in 13 countries in Africa and we're investing strategically, and we want to promote economic growth in every market where we are. We integrate local suppliers in our supply chain so that they can create jobs, so that we can develop local economies, and that is something that is required across all sectors. The really most effective solution is growing the economy.
Yes. Is there any truth to assertions that the business community is on an investment strike and continues to be?
To the extent that there is a talk of the 1.4 trillion rand lying in bank accounts of corporates, maybe people may have a reason to ask why is that money not being invested, and business will turn around and say we need investor confidence and we need policy certainty, we need an enabling environment to invest. And I think this is not just an issue that can be blamed on business, but business has to do its part. Yes, you are absolutely right, but also government must do its part in terms of creating the right environment for business to be confident to invest.
Mr. Dlamini, there's something else that you say. You're saying that business needs to step in order to build capacity in government, and you don't stop there. You're saying you should also share resources and expertise. Is that even possible? If you look, for example, the mistrust that continues to display itself within the governing alliance on a simple matter of a finance minister putting out a discussion paper on how to turn around the economy?
That's a very crucial question that you're raising. I think we need to deal with the elephant in the room, which is the mistrust between business and government, because the skills and the expertise are there to solve any problem, whether it's sorting out ESCOM, SAA, and finding solutions to the infrastructure challenges in South Africa, on the continent. The private sector has got skills, but you're absolutely right. We need to build trust. We need to start really depoliticizing the issue of development, depoliticizing economic growth, so that we all work together to really unlock the full potential of South Africa's economy and Africa's economy.
Final question, and very briefly, what should the country's attitude be towards economic migrants? Because that's what they are, economic migrants.
I think the country has got to realize that just like we cannot grow and prosper without foreign investors, we also cannot grow and prosper without foreign talent. Look at the USA. It's welcoming of talent from all corners of the world. Look at the UK. Look at Australia. I think we have to, especially in the context that we're not an island, and we have a constitution that is progressive and that respects the rights of all people that are within the republic. It's once people are here, we've got to respect them. But the key thing is really growing the economies of Africa, so that people don't have the pressure to want to come to South Africa. We need a strategy that is long-term and that covers the whole picture across the continent.
Kuseni Dlamini, thank you very much for making the time to speak to us. He is the chairperson of Massmart. Time for